Let's begin with this profound truth. The world you see before you is nothing more than the outward picture of your inner assumptions. Every doubt you harbor, every limitation you accept is but a shadow cast by your own consciousness. Tonight I want to share with you the most transformative principle that has ever been revealed to man. The principle that your consciousness is the one and only reality. When you truly grasp this, you will understand why doubting yourself is the greatest sin against your divine nature. Let me tell you something extraordinary about your desires. The very fact that you can conceive a desire means you possess the capacity to achieve it. For desire is nothing but your destiny seeking expression through you. It's God's promise, awaiting your acceptance. You see, most of you sit here tonight harboring doubts about your abilities, your worth, your potential. But I tell you this, these doubts are merely images you have accepted as facts. They are no more real than the shadows on a wall. The only power they possess is the power you have given them through your acceptance. Consider for a moment what you really want in life. Feel it deeply. Now understand this. That desire did not originate from you as a mere mortal being. That desire is God Himself knocking at the door of your consciousness, seeking expression through. But here is where most of you failed. You treat your desires as something external to be achieved, rather than an already existing reality to be assumed. You say, I want to be successful, but continue to wear the garment of doubt and limitation. Let me share with you a profound secret about manifestation. The secret lies not in the doing, but in the assumption. What you desire is already yours in what I call the fourth dimensional world, the world of consciousness. Your task is not to make it happen, but to assume the feeling of its accomplishment. You see, when you doubt yourself, you are actually denying your own divine nature. You are saying to the God within, I do not believe in your power expressing through me. Can you see the magnitude of this error? Every time you entertain a doubt, you are choosing to live in a state of consciousness that contradicts your desires. It's like planting seeds while simultaneously believing they won't grow. Your doubt negates your prayer. Let me tell you about the law that governs all manifestation. Consciousness is the only reality. Whatever you consciousness to be true, whatever state you occupy in consciousness, must objectify itself in your world. This is not theory. This is law. Most of you have been taught to combat doubt with positive thinking. But I tell you this, positive thinking is not enough. You must move beyond thinking to knowing. You must assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. You see, the universe responds not to your words or your actions, but to your assumptions. When you truly assume a state, you need not concern yourself with the how. The how will be taken care of by powers and wisdom far greater than your mortal mind can conceive. Let me share with you the true meaning of faith. Faith is not believing that something will happen. Faith is assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled before any evidence appears in the external world. That is the faith that moves mountains. Consider for a moment, when you go to sleep at night, do you doubt that the sun will rise tomorrow? No, you rest in complete assurance of this fact. This is how you must treat your desires. Your doubts are merely habits of consciousness that can be replaced with absolute knowing. I tell you this, the feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. When you assume the feeling of being what you want to be, you're actually entering into the state of consciousness that will externalize that desire. This is the ancient meaning of ye shall decree a thing, and it shall be established unto you. You see, most of you are waiting for something external to give you permission to be what you desire to be. But I tell you with absolute certainty, the only permission you need is your own assumption. The only authority is just your own I am. Let me share with you a profound truth about your I am. Your I am is God Himself individualized in you. When you say I am, you are proclaiming the name of God. Therefore, whatever you attach to your I am, you are creating as reality. But here is where most of you falter. You say I am, and then attach to it all your limitations, all your doubts, all your past failures. I am not good enough. I am not ready. I am not worthy. Do you not see that you are using the creative power of the universe to create what you do not want? Tonight, I urge you to make a fundamental shift in your consciousness. Instead of saying, I want or I hope or I will, begin to assume I am. For in that assumption lies all the power of creation. You see, the difference between success and failure lies not in external circumstances, but in this simple shift of consciousness. The successful person is not one who has no doubts, but one who has learned to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled despite apparent contradictions. Let me tell you about the law of assumption. When you assume a state, the whole world must reshape itself to accommodate your assumption. This is not positive thinking. This is cosmic law. Most of you have been taught to look at the world and then form your conclusions. But I tell you this, reverse the process. Form your assumption first, and the world will reshape itself to match your assumption. Consider this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone assuming a state that contradicted external evidence. They dared to assume what others called impossible. You see, your outer world is nothing more than your inner world pushed out. Every doubt you entertain, every limitation you accept, must externalize itself in your experience. This is law. Let me share with you the secret of eliminating doubt. You do not fight doubt. You simply assume a new state. When you occupy a new state in consciousness, the old state of doubt must die of neglect. You must understand this. Your consciousness is the only reality. Therefore, what you are conscious of being, you must become. This is why doubting yourself is such a grievous error. You are literally assuming a state of limitation. I want you to grasp this fundamental truth. The state of consciousness from which you operate is everything. When you doubt yourself, you are viewing life from a state of consciousness that must, by law, produce evidence of its own reality. You see, most of you are trying to change your lives while remaining in the same state of consciousness. This is like trying to produce apples while planting orange seeds. It is against law. Let me tell you about the true meaning of state. A state is not a fleeting thought or emotion. It is the consciousness from which you view the world. When you enter a state, you see only what that state dictates you must see. Consider this profound truth. Your present circumstances are nothing more than your previous states of consciousness objectified. Therefore, to change your future, you must change your state now. Most of you say, when my circumstances change, I will feel different. But I tell you this, you must feel different first, and then your circumstances will change to match your new feeling. You see, what you call reality is merely a shadow, a reflection of your state of consciousness. When you doubt yourself, you are actually doubting the infinite power that beats your heart and grows your fingernails. Let me share with you the secret of sustained transformation. You must learn to live from your desired state now. Not tomorrow, not when conditions improve, but now. This very moment. Most of you are waiting for something external to change before you change your concept of self. But I tell you this, nothing external can change until you change your concept of self. Consider carefully what I am telling you. Your concept of self is your destiny. Whatever you believe yourself to be, you will become. This is not philosophy, this is law. You see, when you go after what you want while maintaining a consciousness of doubt, you are working against yourself. It's like driving with one foot on the accelerator and one on the brake. Let me tell you about the power of assumption. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are actually experiencing your desire in the only place it can first exist, in consciousness. Most of you think your desires are out there somewhere, waiting to be achieved. But I tell you this, your desires exist now in consciousness, waiting to be assumed into reality. You see, every desire you have is actually God's desire to express more of Himself through you. Therefore, when you doubt your ability to achieve your desire, you are doubting God Himself. Consider this. The oak tree exists in the acorn long before it becomes visible to human eyes. Similarly, your desired reality exists in consciousness before it becomes visible in your world. Let me share with you a profound truth about consciousness that few understand. When you say, I can't or it's too difficult, you are not describing reality. You are creating it. Your words are decrees that must manifest by law. You see, the universe knows no difference between what you call possible and impossible. It only knows what you decree through your conscious assumptions. When you assume I can't, you are using the same creative power as when you assume I can. Consider this. Every time you entertain a doubt, you are actually praying for what you do not want. For prayer is not begging an external God, but feeling and assuming the reality of what you desire. Most of you have turned your creative power against yourselves through doubt and self-limitation. You say, I'm trying. But in consciousness, there is no trying. Let me tell you about the true nature of creation. Creation is finished. All possible states exist now. Your task is not to create what you want, but to select and occupy the state that contains your desire. You see, when you go after what you want with doubt in your heart, you are attempting to enter two states at once. The state of having and the state of lacking. This is impossible. Consider carefully what I'm saying. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot dwell in the state of doubt and the state of fulfillment simultaneously. You must choose. Most of you think you must first see evidence before you can believe. But I tell you this. What you see is the result of what you have been believing. To change what you see, you must change what you believe. Let me share with you the secret of effective action. All action must proceed from the right state of consciousness. Action without the correct state is futile. You see, when you take action from a state of doubt, you are actually reinforcing the very state you wish to leave. Your actions are merely expressing your current state of consciousness. Consider this. Everything in your world is yourself pushed out. Your doubt, your fear, your limitation, all are states you have occupied and are now seeing reflected back to you. Most of you are trying to change your world while maintaining the same conception of self. This is like trying to project a different image while using the same slide in the projector. Let me tell you about the law of consciousness. Whatever you are conscious of being, you will become. This is why entertaining doubts is such a serious matter. You are literally becoming your doubts. You see, your consciousness is God's gift to you. It is the creative power through which you shape your entire existence. When you doubt, you are misusing this divine gift. Consider this profound truth. In consciousness, there is no process. Things do not gradually become. They are. When you truly assume a state, you are in that state, and everything that belongs to that state must follow. You see, most of you believe in time as a creative force. But I tell you this, time is merely a device for postponing what exists now in consciousness. Your assumption, if sustained, is far more powerful than time. Let me tell you about the true nature of desire. The very presence of a desire is proof of its fulfillment. For how could you desire something if it did not already exist in consciousness? Most of you treat your desires as something to be achieved through struggle and effort. But I tell you this, your desire is actually God's remembrance of what you already are in the eternal now. Consider carefully what I'm saying. When you doubt your ability to achieve something, you are actually doubting the wisdom that gave you the desire in the first place. Can you see the contradiction? You see, every doubt you entertain is a denial of your own divine nature. He's saying to God, I do not believe in your power expressing through me. This is the true meaning of sin. Let me share with you the secret of effortless achievement. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the power that created the universe. All things then work together for the externalization of your assumption. Most of you believe you must battle against circumstances to achieve your desires. But I tell you this, your circumstances are nothing but the shadow of your consciousness. Change your consciousness and circumstances must change. Consider this, every great achievement began with someone daring to assume a state that contradicted current circumstances. They understood that circumstances bow to consciousness. You see, when you go after what you want while maintaining consciousness of doubt, you are working against universal law. For the law states that consciousness is the only reality. Let me tell you about the power of persistence and assumption. It is not enough to assume your desire for a moment. You must persist until your assumption hardens into fact. Most of you abandon your assumption at the first sign of contradiction. But I tell you this, the very presence of contradiction is proof that your new assumption is taking root. Consider carefully. When you plant a seed in the ground, the first response of the soil is to show you more dirt. Would you then dig up the seed and declare it a failure? You see, the same law operates in consciousness. When you plant the seed of a new assumption, the first response of your world may be to show you evidence of the old state. This is law. Let me tell you the ultimate truth about manifestation. Your world is nothing more than your consciousness objectified. Therefore, the only place where true change can occur is in consciousness. Consider this final wisdom. You never attract what you want. You attract what you are. When you understand this, you will cease trying to change things in the outer world and focus all your attention on changing your state of consciousness. You see, your consciousness is like a radio broadcasting station. Whatever frequency you broadcast through your assumptions, the universe must return to you in physical form. This is immutable law. Most of you spend your lives trying to change the pictures on the screen while ignoring the projector. But I'll tell you this. Change a slide in the projector of consciousness, and the pictures must change. Let me share with you this ultimate secret of achievement. Success is not something you pursue. It is something you attract by the person you become in consciousness. When you cease doubting and assume the consciousness of already being what you desire to be, your world must reshape itself accordingly. You see, every moment of your life, you are choosing a state of consciousness to occupy. Choose wisely, for your entire world springs from this choice. Consider this final truth. You are not a mere human being seeking a spiritual experience. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. When you truly grasp this, all doubt must vanish. Tonight, I urge you to make this supreme decision. Decide what you want to be and assume that you are it now. Not tomorrow, not next week, but now. For now is the only time there is. Remember this, what? The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the secret of creation. Whatever you desire, assume the feeling that would be yours if you already had it. You see, doubt is nothing but sleeping in the state of limitation. Wake up. Assume your desired state now. Feel its reality. Live from it. Breathe it for what you feel you create. Let this be your sacred moment of decision. Choose now to stop doubting yourself. Choose to assume the state of consciousness that implies your wish is fulfilled. Choose to live as though your prayers are already answered. For I tell you this with absolute certainty. The world has no choice but to mirror back to you what you decree in consciousness. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is law. Remember, you are the operant power in your world. No one else can assume your desired state for you. No one else can live in the end for you. This is your grand opportunity, your divine responsibility. Therefore, go forth now in this knowledge. Let every doubt fall away like autumn leaves. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Live from that assumption. For in this lies the secret of all creation. For when you cease doubting and start living from the end, when you persist in your assumption despite all evidence to the contrary, when you remain faithful to your chosen state, then, and only then, will you experience the truth that all things are possible to him who believes. This is the law. This is the promise. This is the way. And now, having shared these eternal truths with you, I leave you with this final thought. The life you dream of is not waiting for you in some distant future. It exists now in consciousness, waiting for you to assume it into expression. The choice is yours. The time is now. The power is within you. Thank you.